All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are working on classwork 10.3, writing exponential decay equations. The difference today is that we're working on exponential decay, which we'll see what that means in just a second. So I'm going to be working through questions number 1 and 2 with you, and then number 3 you'll be on your own. That's when you'll input a bunch of your answers into Socrative. So let's work through this first one together. A tank contains 8,000 liters of water. Each day, half the water in the tank is removed. Complete the table. Let x represent the number of days and y represent the number of liters of water remaining in the tank. All right, so it's going to be first easiest to answer this column of liters of water. So if we've got 8,000 on day 0, after 1 day, half of the water is removed. So if we want to do this, we either need to multiply this number by 1/2 or divide by 2. And 8,000 divided by 2 gives us 4,000. On the second day, if we're going to take half of that, we divide that by 2 and we get 2,000. Continuing on, we get 1,000, and so on. So now let's take a look if we can see what this growth pattern is. So we've got 8,000 is our initial amount that we're starting with the water in the tank. And then what did I say we multiply by? We want half of it, right? So we've got to multiply by 1/2. Otherwise, you can also say it is 0.5 if you would like. On our second day, we've got our 8,000 that we started with, already multiplied it by half, and now we're multiplying by half again. And on day 3, same thing, we've got our 8,000 that we started with, multiplied by half, and now it's day 3, so we've got to multiply by a half again. So let's see if we can put this into exponential form now. So I've got my y equals, our initial value, or the amount that we're starting with, is 8,000. And then my growth rate, or my multiplier for this, is going to be what? What am I doing every single day? What's happening to it? Well, we're multiplying it by 1/2. So 1/2 is my growth rate, or my multiplier. And then my exponent, how many days, the time, is going to be 0 for this one since it's day 0. This next one, we've multiplied by half once, and it's day 1. So my equation is going to be y equals 8,000 times 1/2 to the first power. And continuing this, y equals 8,000 times 1/2 to the second power. And y equals 8,000 times 1/2 to the third power. Since this is day 3, and we've also multiplied by 1/2 3 different times, so that becomes 3. Go ahead and finish, take a second, pause the video, and finish the rest of the table out. When you're done filling it out, go ahead and resume the video, and we'll continue with the questions. All right, now that the chart is complete, take a second just to make sure your chart matches my chart. Excellent, it does, it looks beautiful, so let's continue with the questions. So B is, what is the multiplier for this problem? Remember, the multiplier is always my growth rate, it's what's inside the parenthesis. So this time it's going to be a fraction, it's going to be 1/2. Write an equation for the amount of liters of water remaining after x days. So my equation is going to be pretty much the same thing as all of these. Y equals 8,000 times 1/2. And then instead of putting a number here, we don't know the number. It's x, so we're going to put an x. Use your equation to determine the amount of water in the tank after 10 days. So 10 tells us exactly how many days it's going to be, so that's going to replace the x. So my equation is going to be y equals 8,000 times 1/2 to the 10th power. Once again, remember order of operations, exponents come before multiplication. I know it's a very, very common mistake, so make sure that we take 1/2 to the 10th power before we start multiplying by the 8,000. So what is 1/2 to the 10th power? So after we take 1/2 to the 10th power, I get a very big decimal. So we are going to get 0.3 zeros here. 977. Next up is then the multiplication, so I times that by 8,000, and I get y equals 7.81. We'll leave it at that. We'll leave it with 2 decimals. So 7.81. And then what's my label for this? This would be liters of water. So liters. All right, and the next problem, we want to do the same exact thing, only now we've got 20 days. So we're going to set up the equation y equals 8,000 times 1/2. And instead of to the 10th power now, it'll be to the 20th power. Go ahead and attempt this one on your own. Pause the video, see if you can get the answer. And then when you get the answer, go ahead and resume it to check your work. All right, after all your work, you should get an answer of 0.0076. I rounded to 2 decimal places, or I should say 2 numbered decimal places, liters. If you show that middle step like we did over here, this decimal is going to be so large that it's probably not worth showing that step. You can write it in scientific notation. That's what the calculator is going to give you. But I would say just do the whole problem in one step. So first take 1/2 to the 20th power, and then right away before even writing anything down, multiply it by 8,000. You're not going to be able to do these by hand, so you do need to use the calculator to get these numbers. So leaving your answer like this is fine with me. Otherwise, you might want to write it in scientific notation. So in this case, if we move the decimal 1, 2, 3 places, it will be 7.6 times 10 to the, remember we move the decimal to the right 3 times, so -3 liters. Either one of those answers will be correct. Go ahead and try F on your own. Once again, pause the video, then resume it. I will have the answer here once you resume it. Leave your answer for this one. Make sure that it's in scientific notation. All right, so our equation for this one would be y equals 8,000 times 1/2 to the 50th power, since we're doing 50 days. And when I put that into the calculator, I get y equals 7.11 times 10 to the -12th liters. I didn't ask you to put this one into Socrative, but if you're going to, make sure you put y equals the number, and then for the multiplication sign, use shift 8. So that's the asterisk. Shift 8, and then 10 parentheses, I'm sorry, not parentheses, shift 6, so just your exponent key, -12. That would be good, and that's how we're going to do that one. So, question G, will the tank ever be empty? Explain your response. Okay, so technically the answer is no, right? Because this is going to keep getting smaller, keep getting smaller. We're going to keep getting a number here, but for all purposes, this is just basically, this is barely even a drip, if even that. So will the tank ever be empty? Our answer for that is no. There will still be a tiny microscopic drop. A microscopic drop.